Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Terence Crawford will fight. Could be till his 50s. But he won't stop, and this is just my opinion, until he loses 2 times. It's going to take two beatings for Terence Crawford to say, you know what, I'm done. It's not going to take 1, it's going to take 2. Now, if you take a look at Terence Crawford and how he's performed across his career, I'm not going to say he's never ran into stiff competition. I'm not going to say he hasn't had to make adjustments in fights. I'm not saying he hasn't had to show that he has different levels to his game. And I'm not going to say that he hasn't dealt with adversity and had to show that he can persevere, figure things out, and come out on top, whether it's a decision or a knockout. More times than not, Crawford puts you out, okay? Now, we know boxing is a sweet science. It's all about hitting, not getting hit. But with Terence Crawford, he doesn't want to get hit, but he doesn't mind getting touched in order for him to get his off on you. But he's definitely not a mash-up, crash-up type of fighter. But he can get into a shootout if he has to. And you can see sometimes when that does happen, Terence Crawford is the one who ends up having the bigger gun and more ammunition. That being said, what does the future hold for Bud? I'm going to tell you right now what the future holds. A fight on 3 August. And after that, I think Canelo. But when you take a look, will Crawford get to Canelo? Will Crawford get beyond Canelo? It all starts with Madrimov, people. Now, this is the thing with Terence Crawford and Madrimov. If Madrimov beats Crawford, I don't think there's a rematch because Crawford doesn't have a belt. But I have a feeling, this is just me now, that because of Crawford, his relationship with Turki Al-Sheikh, if the fight is close, I would not be surprised if somehow it ends up in a rematch. Now, I don't think it should go to a rematch, okay, unless Madrimov loses. But if Crawford loses, I think you can see it go to a rematch. And if he loses twice, 2 times, I think that'll be it for Crawford. I can't see Crawford losing twice at 154 pounds, especially his first fight at 154, even though he's fighting, who some would say is arguably the best 154-pound fighter. I just don't think he would want to come off of 2 losses against Madrimov and now go try to get into negotiations with anyone. Crawford's had a damn near Tom Cruise Mission Impossible journey with everything he's done with his undefeated record, just totally outclassing opponents. This man struggled to even get what he deserves in fights. He struggled to have his goddamn promoter, Bob Arum at the time, come out here and talk him up. Matter of fact, word is he and Bob Arum were able to settle those differences. And somebody got a little Wu-Tang cream in their pocket. For those who don't know what that is, cream. Cash rules everything around me, so I'm just sitting and making a joke about Crawford got paid, basically. Okay? Now, that being said, for him to be in this position where he's at in his career, the amount of money this man's about to make, now he didn't come out and disclose how much, but he's getting paid. That's one thing about Crawford. That man ain't bragging and boasting, but he's getting paid. But for him to be out here making the money he's making, I can't see him coming, what Floyd Mayweather say, a minor setback for a major comeback. Nah, he ain't going to have a minor setback for a minor comeback. Nah, he definitely don't want a minor setback for a major setback. That's what 2 losses does to him. He ain't trying to go into no damn third situation, dealing with opponents, trying to negotiate, coming off of 2 losses. He's not trying to do that. With everything he did, it was struggle to get people to treat him fairly. Coming off 2 losses, they're going to suck out his eyeball. They're going to be like, And I think that's going to be the end of old Terence Crawford. Not because he doesn't have more to give, but just because he doesn't have to do it. Crawford is a fighter that people can learn a lot from. You can learn a lot from guys like him. I remember being a young guy, man. riding around. I was buying land and buying homes and shit. And my buddies weren't doing that, man. Look at us today. So when I see Crawford's out there investing in real estate and doing things, I'll tell you, that shit will change your life, people. Y'all want about to depreciating assets, all the clothes, all the jewelry, all the bling, all that dumb shit? Yo, stack up your money first. Look at the things that appreciate in value, not depreciate. So if Crawford does end up losing 2 times, man, Crawford isn't worried about it. Crawford's all right. But for me, I just have a feeling he gets past Madrimov. But if he gets past Madrimov, now we're talking about, okay, going to take 2 losses. I tell you what, man, if he bubbles up to 168, right? I see a lot of people saying, nah, it's wrong. He shouldn't do it. He's too small. He's going to go up there. He's going to get destroyed by Canelo, destroyed by someone else. Let me tell you something. When I'm listening to Terence Crawford, somebody said David Benavidez is too big for him, right? Because I said, shit, go and fight Benavidez. It was at 168, though, not at 175. Nah, Benavidez too big for him. That'll be a suicide mission. I mean, Benavidez is tall. Well, he's going to fight Sebastian Fundora. Anybody know what Sebastian Fundora comes in the ring weighing on fight night? I know he ain't coming in at no 161. Okay? But if Crawford bubbles up to the heavyweight classes, then he's up there fighting. If he loses once up there, this is where he's going to have a problem. This is just my opinion. If he decides to come down in weight, I think it's highly likely, highly probable he loses. It doesn't even matter the opponent. I'm looking at Terence Crawford and the direction he's trying to go. And I like it because, you see, there's opportunity. There's huge paydays there, huge money on the table. And when you're looking at that, you can get tunnel vision, man. And you don't see all the shit going on out here, man, these static areas. You know what I'm saying? You just see that money like, yo, I'm going after that. But now you're not thinking about, I came from 135, 140, 147, I'm at 154. I got through Madrimov, now I'm going 168, the big money. But you're not thinking about, basically it's like you're on a beach and you're a person who's a very strong swimmer, right? I would say Crawford, as a professional boxer, he's a strong swimmer, okay? And when you get out there, you get in the water, and you swim out about 10 yards. But you can still stand in there. The water may come up to your chest, right? That's Crawford up to about 147. Then you say, all right, good, I'm a strong swimmer, I'm going out another 50 yards. Now you have to tread in water. A little bit of waves, but you know you're okay. You know what I'm saying? You ride the wave, you're all right. That's Crawford at 154. But then you're out there as a strong swimmer. Now you're like, you know what? Feeling pretty good. I'm going to go out to where it's 50 feet deep. You have these huge swells, and there's a strong current, and there's a riptide. And you think you can avoid that riptide. Then all of a sudden you end up in that shit. Now you're dealing with that. And you're trying to figure out, what am I going to do? And you get your ass in trouble. You don't die, but you take a loss because you couldn't handle being out there in that water that's 50 feet deep with the strong current, the riptide, and them huge swells coming over your head. And that's the same thing with Crawford going up to 168 if that happens. But then now what happens, right? You say, okay, let me come on back in, right? To where that water is kind of, it's a little bit of waves, but I can tread the water and I can handle that. But you know how much energy it takes to swim through? First of all, man, I've been caught in riptides, man. To try to swim out of that shit, you got to swim on angles. But if you're going against it, and then the waves rolling over your head, and you're swallowing water, right? And then somehow God puts his hand on you and pulls your ass up out of that shit and gets you back to where you can function and manage. But you're exhausted. You're exhausted. And that to me is what happens. Crawford comes from 168 back down to 154. I just think that stripping whatever weight off him is going to be muscle, right? I think he's going to be exhausted. Now, is he more comfortable? Yeah, but he's still exhausted. he doesn't have the strength now that he had when he was first going out to where that water was deep. Because he went out there, got in trouble, now he's coming back down. And if you can't figure it out there ain't no going all the way back there. I mean, to 147, that's going to kill his pride. That's like going back to where the water's 10, right up to your chest. That kill your pride. Like, shit, I'm supposed to be the avid swimmer. I'm supposed to be the guy who's a strong swimmer. What am I doing out here scared to go out there? I couldn't handle it. Now I'm back out here just like the average Joes. But that's Crawford now coming back down to 147. Somewhere where he definitely shouldn't be at, and it just makes him an average Joe. So I think Crawford, man, is an amazing athlete. But when I was listening to him talk, I'm like, Crawford not going anywhere. Crawford going to fight as long as he can. But I'm telling you, it's not going to take one fight for Crawford to retire. It's going to take two. It's going to take 2 losses. And I just feel if he has that tunnel vision, and he and his team really aren't thinking about, all right, we're looking at 168, but understand what we're doing. Most fighters, they go up in weight, they don't come back down. 168 back down to 154. I'm telling you, I don't like that unless he can dominate at 154 or maybe 160. Going to 168, a one-off, even if he loses there, I just think it's going to be tough to strip the muscle off. And he's already been, a lot of his career has been inactive. Now he has the opportunity to be active. He's not going to want to turn around and have a fight and then 5 months later, be 6 months, let's say 5 months later, 6 months later, be back in the ring and spend a couple of those months trying to strip off muscle. He definitely don't want to do a turnaround in like a 120-day period. There's a lot of fighters who strip weight and come down and lost, but the one that I think that most of us would know about would be Roy Jones. So that being said, Terence Crawford, I think he's going to fight as long as he's winning. Turki Al-Sheikh's paying him that money. But I think it's going to take for him to lose twice. For him to lose twice, for him to say, you know what, this is it. And I think those 2 losses will come very soon if he goes up to 168 and takes a loss and then decides to come back down. Or if he stays at 154, I think we can see him for a while. But if for some reason he takes a loss at 154, you know, with Madrimov and loses the rematch, I think it's over there. But I think Crawford can get Madrimov. It's not going to be easy, but I think he can get him. But if he gets beyond him and he does go the direction Turki Al-Sheikh seems to be pushing him, then I just think that's a lot to digest going up to 168. I don't care if it's Canelo. I don't care if Adamus bubbles up to 168. Just going up to 168. I just think that's a lot for Crawford. But he's a special fighter. He's proven it time and time again. And I guess we just have to wait and see, right? But even he says it. There's weight classes for a reason. There are weight classes for a reason. He says it. So I think the fans need to understand that too and not get ahead of yourself saying Crawford will go to 168 and take over 168. Even Crawford will tell you, hold your horses. Listen, I'll take it to the stupid. Keep cool, I'm in the breeze.